I'm Terri Savelle. Thank you so much for watching. I want to talk to you about how to stay disciplined when you just don't feel like it. So many people have asked me that through the years is how do you stay disciplined with whatever it is, with reading or praying or exercising, staying committed to your goals. How do you do that when the mood is gone? You just don't feel like it. Well, I heard someone say not too long ago to never let your feelings vote. In other words, you stick to your decisions, not your moods. Somebody once defined commitment as commitment means staying focused on what you said you would do long after the mood you said it in has left you. Because the point is, every one of us are going to have days when we just don't feel like doing it. But we have to override those feelings with a firm decision to just do it. Why do you think Nike coined the phrase, just do it? Because every one of us have those days when we want to just skip it. Joyce Meyer says, if you live by your feelings, you will live a life of devastation and misery. She says, don't let your feelings vote. Because feelings will lie. Feelings are fickle. Our moods are fickle. You may wake up one day and you just don't feel like doing anything you said you'd do the night before. But that's when you have to say, I stop asking myself how I feel and I'm just going to do it. And do you know every single time you override your feelings and you keep your commitments, it builds your confidence, it builds your character, and it builds your consistency. Well, I want to challenge you today to start doing that. In fact, I heard this a long time ago, and I love this phrase. It said, a wise person does today what they'll be happy with later on. A foolish person does whatever feels good and always regrets it later on. So don't make regrets. Stop letting your feelings make decisions in your life and stick with what you said you were going to do. In fact, I love this story. I just recently read this about Stephanie Meyer. Talk about sticking with your decisions. She said that all of a sudden she had a dream one night. Well, she woke up the next morning and she just started writing based on this dream. She said she wrote an entire manuscript in 3 months and never intended to get it published. She just wrote what she saw in her dream. Well, her friend encouraged her and said, you got to get this published. Well, once they started planning that thought in her mind, she said she got committed. She was sticking with that decision, basically. She said she sent that manuscript off to 15 literary agencies hoping to see this dream fulfilled. Well, all of a sudden, she didn't hear from 5 of them. They didn't even reply. She could have given up and said, forget it, this is stupid, it was nonsense. But then all of a sudden, she said she got 9 letters back. They all rejected her. Then she really could have given up and not been in the mood to go for this dream. She could have thought it's just junk, it's ridiculous. All of a sudden, one publisher said, we want to give you a chance. Well, when they started to give her a chance, all of a sudden 8 other publishers started auctioning for the right to get her manuscript. Well, of course, she published it. In fact, she signed a 3-book deal for $750,000, turned into movies and sequels and sagas called Twilight. In fact, Forbes magazine said in 2010 she reportedly earned $40 million. Well, the point is she had to stick with it. She had to stay committed and disciplined in her dream and in her effort to see this thing fulfilled. Because, every one of us are going to have rejections and oppositions and setbacks and defeats and failures that make you just want to quit. In fact, I heard someone say years ago, practice integrity with yourself. In other words, if you said you're going to write a book, you write the book. If you said, I'm going to save $100 a month this year, then you save $100 a month. If you said, I'm going to make those sales calls, 5 of them every single day, you do it. Or if you said, I'm going to read a book a month, then you take your lunch break, you read for 20 minutes, and you stick with your decision long after the mood you set it in has left you. Another story that I thought was amazing is the legendary coach Tom Landry of the Dallas Cowboys. I just happen to be from Dallas, so listen to this story. He holds the record. You may not realize this. He actually has the distinction of having one of the worst first seasons on record. The entire first season of coaching the Dallas Cowboys, he did not win one single game. Now that'll put you in a bad mood. Well, he stayed focused on his dream and committed to that dream. The next year, even 4 seasons later, they said he won 5 or fewer games. You could just give up and say, this is ridiculous. I've obviously got the wrong dream in my heart. But do you know what? After that, he went on to lead the Dallas Cowboys to 2 Super Bowl victories and 5 NFC championships, and he holds the record for the most career wins. Well, what did I say commitment is? It's staying focused on what you said you would do long after the mood you set it in has left you. And like I said, you're going to have defeats and setbacks and opposition, but you have to stay committed. Do you remember that story in, I'm trying to think where it is, where Elijah, remember he told the wicked King Ahab that it was going to rain? And there'd been a drought for so long, and he's telling him it's going to rain. The drought's going to be over. Well, it says he went up to Mount Carmel, and he just began worshiping God, got on his knees, worshiping the Lord, and he told his servant, go see if there's any rain. The servant went and checked, came back and said, Elijah, there's nothing. He told him, go check again. Servant came back, there's nothing. Then he says again, are you sure you're looking at the sky? Go check again. He comes back over and over and over, and there's not a cloud in the sky. 7 times he goes to check and see if anything's changing. Finally, the servant comes back and he says, well, there is a cloud like the size of a man's hand. That's all Elijah needed to hear. He said, go tell Ahab the downpour is coming. And sure enough, the drought was over. Well, I want you to know, every time you override your feelings, you get up and you go to the gym, you're making progress. Every time you make yourself read because you said you were going to read, you're making progress. Every time you tell your feelings to shut up because they're so not in the mood to do what you said you were going to do, you're making progress. And sometimes you may feel like, I think John Maxwell says, you've taken 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. You know what? You're still a step ahead. You're going to get through this. But I just want to challenge you today. Don't let your feelings vote. Stop asking yourself, do I feel like doing this or not? Because a disciplined person does today what they're going to be happy with later on. A foolish person does whatever feels good and regrets it later on. And remember this scripture. Don't grow weary in well-doing, for in due season you will reap if you faint not. So I want to challenge you today, don't faint. Fainting always takes place in the mind first, so don't faint. Stay focused and don't let your feelings vote. If you're enjoying this podcast, please share it with a friend. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, so I can keep you motivated to achieve your dreams. Thank you for watching.